most populated to the least populated. This is not a list of the most populated cities in the United States, but a list of the most populated city from each state. Starting with the cities, the nation's most populated city, New York City, which is very large. I've been there many times, and it is, of course, in the state of New York. And next up in the list, we have Los Angeles, California, which I may have misspelled. Los Angeles, California. I have not been to LA. Next up, we have Chicago, Illinois. I've driven through Chicago. It is very large. It is a very large sprawl. Number 4, we have Houston, Texas. I've never been to Texas, but I've heard that the Houston area is quite large. Another very large sprawl. Number 5, we have a surprising one to me, that is Phoenix, Arizona. When I think of Arizona, I think of a desert, not somewhere where the 5th largest U.S. city can be found. But I do have family members and people I know that live out there. Next, we have Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, which is the closest of these cities to me. I live in southern New Jersey. Next, we have the most populated city in Florida. That is Jacksonville, Florida, which I believe is closer to the Panhandle. Number 8, we have Columbus, Ohio. Ohio. I've driven through Columbus. Next up, we have Indianapolis, which is in Indiana, which I've never been to, but I know that Indianapolis is known for their horse races, I believe, or I think it's actually just regular racing, like regular cars. Next up, we have Charlotte, North Carolina. I've never been to North Carolina either, and I believe this is number 10 on our list. Let's try to keep these numbered, just so it's a little easy to follow along. Okay, so next up we have Seattle, Washington, which I have been to. I thought of it as a pretty nice place, actually. Good food. Next we have Denver, Colorado, which I have also been to, and I also thought was a pretty nice city. However, there was wildfires recently when I was there, and it was difficult to get a good view of the mountains. Next up, and Denver's actually pretty far from the mountains. We have Oklahoma City, which is in Oklahoma. I'm having a hard time spelling Oklahoma. Another surprising, I don't think of Oklahoma as being that populated, but I guess most of the people are here. Next we have Nashville, Tennessee. Which is big country music capital of the country, I think. We have number 15 here, Boston, Massachusetts, which is a pretty big city. I'm actually surprised it's this low, but I guess I just haven't seen a lot of these other places. 16, we have Las Vegas, Nevada, which is all the way at the bottom of Nevada. I've been to northern Nevada, traveling across I-70, or whatever highway that is out there that connects to I-70. Next we have Portland, Oregon, because there's actually two Portlands on this list. Portland, Oregon, which I've been to. We can go next to Detroit, Michigan. I have not been to Detroit, but of course I've heard things like you probably have about Detroit. Next we have Louisville, Kentucky. I've driven through Louisville, but I've spent more time in Kentucky in the central parts of the state. At number 20, we have Baltimore, Maryland, which is a city I've been to plenty of times. Cool aquarium, but don't go too far into the city. Next up, we have Milwaukee, which I think I spelled right. That's in Wisconsin. Wisconsin is known for their cheese. I've driven through Wisconsin. It was beautiful. Next up, we have Albuquerque, New Mexico. And I do know how to spell Albuquerque because I've updated many fan pages for the show Breaking Bad in my free time. Then we have Kansas City, Missouri, which is it's not actually in Kansas, or the Kansas part of Kansas City is not as big as the Missouri part. Then we have Atlanta, Georgia. We're coming up on the bottom of the paper here before we have to flip it over. And 25, we have Omaha, Nebraska. I think that's where a lot of the phone calls come from, the telemarket stuff. So I've heard. Okay, so starting at 26, we have Virginia Beach, which, unlike Kansas City, is actually in the state that it is named after. Then we have Minneapolis, which Minneapolis, I think it's spelled that way. Minnesota, Minneapolis, Minnesota. After that, we have Wichita, Kansas. Or is it Wichita? I'm not too sure. I've been to Kansas, but not to Wichita. I've been to the place where Dwight D. Eisenhower was born. After this, we have New Orleans, Louisiana. Oh no, Louisiana, which is I'm pretty sure this is where Mardi Gras is and all that. At number 30, we have Honolulu, Hawaii. I think that's how you spell Hawaii with the apostrophe in the right place. I can't remember. Never been to Hawaii. Would love to go. Next, we have the largest city from my home state. This is Newark, New Jersey. Why did I make this little hyphen here? That's weird. That was weird. After Newark, we have Anchorage. It's funny to think that there are more people in Anchorage, Alaska, than any of the remaining cities in this list, which are in the actual United States geographic boundary. I think it's contiguous is the right word. Anyway, Boise, Idaho is next. I've been to Coeur d'Alene, but I've never been to Boise. Next up is Huntsville, Alabama, a city I have never heard of until now, which is very interesting. I like to think that I know a lot about the country's geography. Then we have Des Moines, Iowa, which I only really know for the Democratic Caucus. Next up, we have Little Rock, Arkansas, which I've never been to Arkansas. I think you can find like diamonds in some parts. That's just something somebody who's never been there would know. Next we have Salt Lake City. Oh, hey, we lost our 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There we go. We have Salt Lake City. That is next. Salt Lake City, which is in Utah. I've been to Salt Lake City. I really can't believe that there's more people in Anchorage than there are in Salt Lake City. So it was a pretty big area. Maybe I'm thinking of the metro as a whole, but it was a pretty good amount of people in Salt Lake City. I'm surprised it's this low. Next up, we have Sioux Falls in South Dakota. I really thought it was going to be Rapid City, but I guess Sioux Falls, which I have not been to, has more people. I have been to Rapid Falls though. Next we have Charleston, South Carolina, and after Charleston we have Jackson, Mississippi. 6, 7, 8, 9. That is 40. Okay, after Jackson we have Bridgeport. And now we're really starting to get into some of the more empty states in the Union. So we have Bridgeport, Connecticut, and I just said that, but Connecticut's not very empty. It's just quite small. It's mostly just a suburban area of New York City, and woods. Then we have Fargo, North Dakota, which is certainly one of the more open states in the country. North Dakota. After this, we have Billings, Montana, which I have driven through, and if that's the biggest city in Montana, that's pretty crazy because Montana is big. Next up, we have Manchester, Rhode Island, or excuse me, New Hampshire. I've never been to New Hampshire. I know it's quite north. Let's see. Next we have. I think I'm getting mixed up. No, excuse me. Sorry about that. Next up, we have Wilmington. Wilmington, Delaware. Which I've really only driven through. I've never stopped and done anything there. Next on the list, we have Portland. Portland, Maine, which is the second Portland in the list. After this, we have Cheyenne. Wyoming. Wyoming is, I think, the least populated state in the country. Certainly the least densely populated, well, except Alaska. Next we have Charleston. Charleston, West Virginia. And then the least populated state in the country is going to be Burlington. Burlington, Vermont. And I believe I skipped a. Yes, I did. There's supposed to be 50. I missed one in my list, and between Sioux Falls and Charleston, South Carolina, was supposed to be Providence, Rhode Island. So, there we go. These are the 50 most populated cities from each state. If you liked videos like this, I have more on my channel. I haven't made some in some time, but I will be trying to get back into it. So, have a nice day, and if you liked this video, go and check out some